Yes, people, this is your girl Aleisha Lee and welcome back to Aleisha Lee Reviews. This is Top Boy, the final season. We are reviewing season 3, episode 1, Step Back. Let's get into this. We start the episode right where we left off. Sully has just murdered Jamie right in front of Stefan and Aaron. As this is all happening, Deshane is out with Shelly having an expensive dinner until he gets a message from Jack letting him know what has just happened to Jamie. Now, clearly, Deshane is absolutely livid. He no longer wants that food that he's about to spend a lot of money on. He's lost all of his appetite after receiving that news. As he heads over to the men's to get in touch with Jack, he then gets a visit from Sully. How did Sully know where he was? I guess he probably told him before, but Sully ends up in the toilet to let him know that he needs to back off and back down. Now that Jamie is out of the picture, he needs to take a step back. Now, Jamie was to Deshane his way out of the game, his retirement plan. Sully, knowing that, took Jamie out. He's approaching Deshane to let him know that he needs to also take a step back, and now Sully will be running things. And I was surprised because Deshane is always usually the one that is just much more strategic with things, but for some reason he's just let Sully have this one, and especially as he's seen the lengths that Sully is willing to go to, he's just said, you know what, have it. Especially as Deshane is trying to get away from the road. He wants to make all of the money, but he doesn't want to do the lifestyle and participate in the road activities. Whereas Sully now, he's happy to participate in all activities whilst receiving the money. And I think that is where the difference is between the two. As the opening titles play, we see that Sully is now the one that is watching all of the workers distribute, where usually it's Deshane, but now that Sully's taken over, he is stepping up. Next, we see Jack, Lauren, and Lauren's son. Jack is now an auntie, and Lauren is having a bit of difficulty adjusting to motherhood. You can see that she's tired, she looks worn out, and she's just needing a bit of time to adjust to everything that has transpired. She is still thinking about what happened with Curtis, as Curtis is the father, and obviously she killed him because she was trying to get away from him. She's still thinking about that, and Jack is trying to reassure her that everything will be okay and she needs to focus on her son. Sully and his daughter make their way to school, where they get to have a laugh. That is where Stefan sees Sully dropping his daughter off to school, and he immediately leaves. Imagine that though. Imagine that the person that killed your brother, you just see them enjoying life, dropping their kid off to school, and you're there having to live with the fact that that person done that to your family member. I can't even imagine what Steph was thinking, feeling. I can't even imagine at all. But as you see, Steph decided to leave, and I think that was it for him. As soon as he saw that, having to go to the same school and seeing that person all of the time, it must be very, very traumatizing. Steph leaves school and makes his way to a home that he is currently staying at. Now, when he arrives, one of the members of staff lets him know, what's going on, how come you're here? And he says that it's inset day at school, which we know it isn't. And she also mentions that Aaron has been calling for him, and she says, you're going to call him back, and he's not interested at the moment. And it's strange because we see that Aaron isn't around and Stefan is by himself. It's just crazy, from last season, all three of them being together, to now it just being Stefan alone. Stefan takes a moment to look at the picture of him and his brothers, and he also holds Jamie's chain. Jack is with the crew, making sure that they are delivering what they need to deliver, despite one of them having some objections about nitties in the area. Jack lets it be known, like, this is your job, go and serve. Don't get cheeky. Now, during their time, there's a nitty that comes that does have a baby. Jack notices how neglected the baby is, yet the mother is here ready to collect what she needs but hasn't been looking after the child. Jack gets a call from Sully letting her know that the delivery is in, and that is where she goes to meet Sully to get the shipment. When they arrive, things are looking strange. There's a van right in the middle and there's no one around. Jack opens up the van and finds 2 boxes. These contain something that smells really awful, and when they open the box, they see the heads of the Moroccans. The Moroccans have been taken out, and one of them has a phone in their beheaded mouth. Can you believe this? I said this is just episode 1. This is just episode 1, and this is what we're here already. Now, when Sully takes the phone, there's a message that says, "Call me." Whoever this person is the same person that's responsible for taking the Moroccans out. Sully calls the number and an Irish man picks up that phone. We see him at a bar and he clearly is expecting Sully's call, letting him know that he knows that he has taken over. He explains that his nephew will be in touch to discuss how they will be working going forward, and Sully is clearly not pleased with this. Shelly and Deshane are outside the nail shop that Shelly asked Deshane about whilst they were at dinner. She wants to purchase the whole chain, and it's going to cost them a nice, million, over $1 million, and Shelly is really excited about this. Deshane obviously wanting to help her and sees her vision. He lets her know that yes, everything is all okay and it will be done. Sully tries to call Emilio to find out what happened with the shipment in Morocco. And Sully, I'm so sorry to tell you, but if you saw what happened with those 2, what makes you think that Emilio's still about? I don't know. To me, it was just given that Emilio's no longer here, but he does try to get through to him, and yeah, he leaves him a message. On the call, we hear him say, you've just been letting me ring out. What's going on? Give me a call back. But after seeing what happened with those 2, I don't think it's looking too good for Emilio. Deshane goes to visit Line to let her know that he's going to need a lot of money, i.e. basically all of his money from the Summer House project, and you can see from Line's face that she knows that this is impossible. He makes it very, very clear to her that he needs that as soon as possible, and you can tell she is petrified. You can see it in her face. But from when she said that okay, I knew that something was up. That okay was just way too calm, way too collected, and I think she at that point accepted, he's serious. It's either I do what he says or I do what I need to do, but we're going to get into that a bit later on in the season. Now, back at Summer House, we see that immigration police have shown up for Kieran. They want to send him back to Rwanda due to him not having paperwork. Now, his mum tries to explain through the door that she had sent letters to them, letting them know of the situation, but they do not care. Kieran refuses to come out, and that is where they decide to force entry. Now, the whole community is up there trying to stop immigration from taking Kieran. Mandy lets them know that his mum is a cancer patient, and they just don't care. They don't care. They are here to take Kieran away, and that is what they are going to do. Sully pays a visit to a pub looking for an old friend called Billy. He knows him from prison, and Sully is here to speak to Billy to get a bit more detail about the Irish squad that he may be potentially going into business with. Now, Billy warns them that this is a family not to mess with, and he knows them from jail. They are on a different type of time, so he has given Sully a warning. Sully lets Billy know that he needs him to line up some more information and details on these guys, and he owes him a favor. So now Sully is calling in for that favor, and you can see on Billy's face he is very nervous, very scared. Back at Summer House, the police have taken Kieran from his home and have now placed him in the police van. This then leads to the whole community really stepping out and showing out for him. Mandy, Jack, Everyone is on the case, organising a sit-in protest. All of the community comes out and they are not going to let the police take Kieran away. Deshane, passing by, sees the commotion and calls Jack over to find out what is going on. Jack explains the situation and Deshane, just being Deshane, is just like, why don't you just let them take him? Like, he doesn't need all of this attention on Summer House. I said, Deshane, come on, sir. Billy calls Sully to let him know that the McGees will be at a stables later today. Sully explains to Billy that he will be coming with them because he needs to identify who Johnny is. Obviously, Sully doesn't know who this is, but he needs to know. Sully is ready to take them out. And that is where Billy is really hesitant. But Sully explains, for $5,000, you will not be hesitating. I will see you there. Lauren is buying the heavy stuff from one of Jack's workers. He even says to Lauren that he has to be honest, he's not going to continue doing this. She tries to say it's for a friend, but we all know it is for her. Back at Summer House, Mandy spots Steph and calls him over to speak to her and Erin. That's where she asks about Aaron. She says that she heard he's up in Leeds and confirms that he is, and he's doing marketing up there. Now, Aaron, there's a part of me that wish he could take Steph with him as well, because I feel like Steph needs to have some time away from the environment, and but I understand that Steph has got school. I'm just hoping that Aaron just comes back for him. Maybe that's why Aaron's been calling, now that he's settled in Leeds and he's done some research, he can get Steph to come up there. But for now, they are separated. That's just my hope for the future. But anyway, back to Summer House, and once they've had their chat, Mandy leaves Erin and Steph to have a word. She knows that Erin does have a crush on Steph, so she set that up for Erin. Sully collects Billy and Billy is giving him the rundown. Sully's asking questions, how many people are going to be there, and Billy is not so forthcoming. He lets him know that Johnny's going to be there, and Sully's like, yeah, anyone else? Billy's like, one other guy, and he's like, okay, are they strapped? Like, what? And Billy lets him know that Johnny is always strapped. Junior, who is Sully's sidekick, is just like, yeah, we're strapped too. He doesn't seem to be worried about a thing. I feel like they need to be worried. Back at Summer House, we see that backup has been called. More police officers are on site to try and move the community that are protesting. It's going to cause more chaos and issues. We see Kieran is in the back of the van trying to figure out what is going on. We see that Jack and her workers are going mad. They do not want the police to touch them. It's just a lot of chaos going on. We now see Sully and the crew are at the stables. This is where they basically get ambushed, all thanks to Billy. Yes, Johnny pops out, and as soon as he pops out, he's like, yeah, Billy boy, yeah, get him, Billy. Letting everyone know that Billy is the one that set them up. He explains to Sully that he is sorry, but these people are not the ones to be played about with. They actually get rid of one of Sully's boys as well, so Sully can see for himself that they are not here to play. Johnny speaks to Sully and lets him know that, we're going to be working together, and Sully doesn't seem too impressed until Johnny mentions his daughter and sending heads to Natasha's mum, all of these things. And that is where you see Sully's face completely change. He realizes that this is a different type of threat, and Sully, he ain't gonna stand for this. Back to Summer House, the police announce that due to avoiding complete chaos, they will be letting Kieran go. Everybody is ecstatic, everybody cheers, and Kieran is released. It worked. Everybody coming together, protesting for Kieran. It's just a great feeling throughout the community. Back with Deshane, Shelley is trying to find out what the update was in regards to the accounts, when they're going to get the money, when they're going to be able to start moving forward on the shops. And Deshane lets her know that he's had a word, and everything is going to be fine, and he's going to have some news very soon. Now, he gets a text message from Sully saying that they need to talk. I wonder what that's about. Obviously, it's about the new changes and the new suppliers, i.e. Johnny and his family, and what they're going to be getting up to. Now, we see Jack is just arriving home, and she sees that Lauren is sleeping. While she goes to pick up her nephew, she notices Lauren's supply. That is where episode 1 ends. Wow, what a start to the season. It all kicked off from where we left off in the previous season, and it was just relentless throughout. Now, seeing the chain reaction from Jamie's death, you just know that this season there's going to be a lot of things going on, and we're going to see how each of these characters develops throughout. But yes, people, that was episode 1, Step Back. It's been a great start. I really can't complain. I'm going to give this episode 8 boys out of 10. I think it was a great way to kick off the season. But yes, people, that is it for this video. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you are notified when the next review is out. And yeah, let's get into Top Boy September. I will catch you in the next Top Boy review. Done now, boy. Yes, people, this is your girl Aleisha Lee, and welcome back to another episode of Aleisha Lee Reviews. We are reviewing Top Boy Season 3, Episode 2, The Tour. Let's get straight into this. We start the episode off with seeing some of the locals outside of their homes. We can also see some builders are boarding up some homes, so it looks like the eviction process has started in Summer House. We then cut to some graffiti art on the wall of Mandy and Jack, and that graffiti artwork is just a reminder of the work that they put in ensuring that Kieran was not taken by immigration. Next, we see Sully and Deshane finally meet up at the cafe, and that is when Sully lets him know what has been going on. Sully lets Deshane know about what happened to Emilio and his family. So remember what I said last episode, the way that Sully was ringing down that phone, I said, listen, Emilio ain't about anymore. That's one thing I do know. If they done that to the Moroccans, this is the work of the Irish. Hearing that it weren't just Emilio, but his whole family as well. Like, come on, guys. Come on. Now, Sully thinks that somehow Deshane has something to do with everything that's going on. And he says to him, listen, if you're pulling strings behind the scenes, just remember that if I don't make no money and if I fail, so do you. You fail as well and you don't get no money. And that's when Sully goes on to talk about the McGees and says that they mentioned Tasha by name. And this is where things are getting sticky because he says that they all need to go. Deshane says all of this is not his problem. Since Sully is the top boy now, this sounds like it's all on him. Deshane makes it very clear and he says to Sully, you're forgetting something. I ain't nothing like you. I said, ow. Deshane was just not trying to have it. He's like, I'm loyal. Sully's just looking at him like, yeah. That encounter between them two was tense. Sully and Deshane. Next, we see Sully leave the cafe and he goes to speak to Jack. Jack lets Sully know what's been going on with Lauren and asks if she is needed because she's going to have to spend some time with Lauren. She explains to Sully that Lauren has been on that dark and it's not really a good look. She needs to spend some time with her and just straighten things out. Sully says to Jack, do what you need to do and yeah, just get things sorted with Lauren. Next, we see Stefan. He's getting ready to head out and that's when he picks up Jamie's chain and decides to put it on. I think he wants to feel closer to his brother. He sees Erin. Erin asks Stefan, do you know what school is? Stefan's like, do you know what not going to school is? Live life a bit. They have a little kiki and a joke and Stefan then makes his way to the gym. At the gym, Stefan sees Sai and they start having a chat about everything that's been going on since Jamie has passed, and Sai asks Stefan if he knows who done it. Stefan denies and says he doesn't know. And Sai mentions that the streets are saying that it's Sully, but I don't think Stefan is ready to admit just yet he knows exactly who done it. And of course, yes, it was Sully. Jack and Lauren are at a yoga class, and during the class, Lauren comes to the realization that it's not for her. Jack says, come on, try and stick with it. And Lauren is like, is this for me? Or is it for you? Because if this is for me, I don't want to do it. Let's go. Next, we see they are in the cafe, and that's when Jack lets her know that she needs to stick with the yoga. She can clearly see that Lauren has been going through some struggles since having the baby and obviously everything that's gone on with Curtis. So she's thinking about activities that will help her get through this time. Lauren is not interested in the yoga. It's definitely not for her. And that is when Jack confronts her with the dark, and she puts that straight on the table and asks Lauren, what's that? Lauren denies all allegations and says she don't know what that is whilst going to pick it up. So clearly she is aware that the game is up, and Jack is fully aware of what she has been doing. Deshane goes to visit Shelly at the shop, and he also sees Mandy there. It's not a pleasant chat that he gives Mandy at all, and Deshane is quite threatening. He obviously knows that she was at the forefront of what happened with Kieran and the immigration police. Obviously Deshane doesn't need any more heat coming onto Summer House, so he lets her know, just stop what you're doing, stop all of that. And there's obviously some tension that's always been there, because she's fully aware of how Deshane and Sully's actions affect the wider community. Deshane was just not having it with Mandy, and neither was she, to be fair. She was making sure she was standing her ground, saying things like, didn't you want to see your friend out? And Deshane makes it clear that Kieran is not his mate, and it's not in his best interest that police are always around there. And Mandy's like, obviously it wouldn't be, because all you think about is yourself. That's when Shelly comes out and asks Mandy to get things prepared, which diffuses the situation in that moment. As Deshane and Shelly leave, she asks him what was all that about, and he lets it be known that it's not in his best interest, especially with everything that's been going on, that police are around. He says that Mandy needs to go, and that's when Shelly lets him know that if they plan to open up more shops, they're gonna need her. Sully meets with Johnny to discuss business. Johnny makes it clear that he needs to see the operation before any deliveries get going, and obviously Sully is reluctant, but he knows in order for him to get this food, he's gonna have to show Johnny what he wants to see. At the nail shop, Shelly and the shop owner are negotiating, and Deshane looks so proud of Shelly because she's going in with her harsh negotiation. She's letting it be known this is her final offer, and Deshane's just in the back looking like, yeah, that's my babes, look at her, yeah. Once they leave, Shelly asks Deshane if he will be able to get the money to her within 7 days, and Deshane says to her, don't worry about it, he's going to go and see life now, so there's no need to worry, that money will be there. Next we see Stefan is rolling with Sai for the day, and he takes him back to meet the rest of the crew. That is where they do a toast for Jamie, remembering their lost soldier, and we see a rap from one of the crew members. That's when Steph gets a message from Erin, and you can just see the smiling from ear to ear when he gets that message. Deshane goes to visit Life, and he is met by a staff member that lets him know that she is not there. She tells him he can't go back there. He tells her, shut up, man, and he is back there looking for Life, and as he can see, she is nowhere to be found. It appears that Life has done a runner, so you know what that means. His money's gone. You could see from the previous episode, Life, she looked like she was going to run for her life, because that okay, and now you see she's cleaned up shop. She has done a runner. Sully shows Johnny the operation, and he likes the setup. He's happy with the CCTV as well, and I'm not gonna lie, I was quite impressed with that myself. So he was pleased with what he saw, and I think that gave him the confidence to get the shipments started. Deshane visits Jeffrey, and Deshane, he's absolutely livid. Now, Jeffrey knows this, and he can see it in Deshane's eyes. Deshane tells Jeffrey, you're going to find them. You're going to look for them, and you're going to find them. I.e., you're going to bring back my money. Yeah, this is all on you, Jeffrey. And you could tell Jeffrey is petrified. Deshane lets Jeffrey know if he doesn't do this, he ain't going to live to see the weekend. Good luck, Jeffrey. You're really going to need it. We go back to Jack and Lauren, and they are discussing baby names. Lauren has 2 days to get the baby registered and think of a name. Then we see that they are off to Shelly's. Lauren's having a nice time. She's getting her nails done. She also gets a job because Shelly lets her know about the expansion that she is planning, and Lauren is so happy. She's having a good time. Johnny and Sully end up at a retirement home where Johnny's uncle is staying. Johnny says to Sully in Irish, sit down. And Sully's like, I'd rather stand up in English. I said, nah, Sully. Sully couldn't understand the point of them being there, but Johnny explained this is where they can run the operation, a network of retirement homes where they can run business easily. Johnny lets his uncle know that him and his son will be coming on Friday to celebrate his birthday, and this is right in front of Sully. Sully is looking like he's conjuring up a plan. He knows exactly where they're going to be on Friday. Johnny takes Sully to another part of the home where he has Billy. Yes, Billy from our previous episode, who flipped on Sully and let the McGees know the deal. He has been captured by Johnny. Sully now is like, you're so excited, why don't you do the job? Johnny gets cracking, and that is when Sully spots a bag. Now this bag probably contains the food. So Sully's brain is doing a lot of thinking right now. Deshane is on the hunt for Lizzie and Life. He goes to see his lawyer and lets him know the situation. The lawyer explains that he does know someone that could look into this for him, but it will cost him. Deshane is willing to do whatever it takes, and he tells his lawyer to line it up. Next, we see Erin has arrived at the rave that she planned to meet Stefan at earlier in the day, and they're chilling, they're having a good time. They go to get drinks, and that is when some guys approach Stefan and take his chain, which you know is Jamie's. Of course, this doesn't sit right with Stefan. He goes to let Sai and the crew know what is going on, and that is when they go to look for this gang. Stefan and the crew finally catch up with these guys, and things go to 100 from the jump. That is where we see Sai lets them know that they've taken something, and that's when Steph comes out and reclaims his things. As they are about to leave, that's when one of them makes a sly comment, and Steph takes the bat from one of his crew members and starts going crazy. Sai was looking at Steph like, yes, my son. Yeah, like looking at him, so proud of him, because Steph, he had his time and he had to let them know he ain't the one or the two. Later, we see Sully and Deshane finally meet up after Deshane asked him earlier in the day to speak. He lets him know about Life and Lizzie. They've done a runner. He also mentions Jack as well, asking if Sully has an issue with it, and Sully lets him know what can he say. He finds out that Sully did leave a couple 100,000 with Life, and Deshane says you're lucky because Deshane has left basically everything he has with her. Deshane asks Sully if he has dealt with the Irish issue, and Sully lets him know that he's on the case. Deshane makes it clear that he needs to be there as well. When it comes to his money, nothing can come up short and he needs to be there. Sully says to him he will have a think about it. Lauren decides to name the baby Jack. As she is having a moment and preparing to have a bath, she is having some time with her son and decides to name the baby after Jack. It's a nice moment, but unfortunately, when Jack and Bex get home, they discover the baby crying, and when Jax goes to the bathroom, she sees that Lauren has drowned. The drugs are found beside her, and that is how the episode ends. This episode gave us a bit more of a moment to catch up after everything that happened in the first episode, plus to have that kind of ending as well. We ended the last episode with seeing Lauren's situation, and now this episode ends with the results of that. Clearly, Jack is going to be having a hard time in the next few episodes because of this. Deshane, he's having a difficult time now, having to come to the realization that everything he has is gone, and now he's relying on Jeffrey to find these women, get all of his money back. We're gonna see how that turns out. Sully is now thinking of a plan. You see that he has been exposed a bit more to Johnny's operation, and I think Johnny is going to find that this is a big mistake on his part. You can't make threats about his child and expect everything to be okay. I'm going to give this episode 7 boys out of 10. I think this episode was just one that was a bit more calm, but it also gave us a bit more in the storyline. I think it was just an episode to build up for what's to come. So I'm going to give it a 7. It wasn't as hype as last week's episode, but it was still a good episode nonetheless. But yes, people, that is it for this review. This was Top Boy Season 3, Episode 2, The Tour. On the next episode of Aleisha Lee Reviews, as we continue to enjoy our Top Boy September, we will review Season 3, Episode 3, Birthday Party. So make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you are notified when that episode is up. So yeah, I will catch you in the next Top Boy review. Dunno, boy. Yes, people, this is your girl Aleisha Lee and welcome back to another episode of Aleisha Lee Reviews. In this episode, we are reviewing Top Boy Season 3, Episode 3, Birthday Party. Let's get into this. We start the episode with what appears to be one of Sai's crew members being robbed. Just as things are about to get sticky, that's when the police arrive and Sai and his crew have to split, leaving their comrade on the ground after he's just been robbed. We then see Sully, Deshane and one of the carers from the home in the cafe discussing logistics about what is about to happen. Now Sully is obviously not gonna have it with the Irish crew and he is making plans. He's getting plans in place to basically take them out. He's got the carer here to give him an insight and he's giving her instructions on what she needs to do on the day. He's fully aware that they're going to be at the home to celebrate the birthday party of their relative. So Sully is making plans to ensure that everything runs smoothly on the day. The carer explains that they can wait in a room where one of the patients doesn't wake up. Basically, she's always sleeping, so she says that they can wait there whilst they execute the plan and whilst they wait for the signal from her to let them know that the Irish squad has arrived. Deshane calls his lawyer to find out the update on where Lizzie and Life are. Now the lawyer says that the investigator wants some money, wants his money now. Now something is just telling me that this lawyer's lying. I don't know what it is, but something's telling me all the money's going to the lawyer. Next we see Mandy has come to visit Jack, Bex and the baby. After everything that happened with Lauren in the last episode, she's here to show support. Jack clearly still devastated. She's not really hearing what Mandy's saying. She's hearing it, but she's still in defense mode. And even Bex had to jump in, just defending what Mandy was saying she weren't having a go at Lauren, just, giving an example of what she experienced when she was in prison. Sully comes to visit Jack and you can see Mandy is... she can't stand Sully. She knows what Sully done. So we see Mandy just go to the kitchen and get things prepared while Sully has a word with Jack. And he lets Jack know that he's there for her and if she needs to speak or if she needs anything to let him know. And I thought it was really nice of Sully to be supportive. Now when Sully says, if she needs anything, let him know, Jack does mention she wants to know who sold it to Lauren. And Sully is trying to talk her out of it. He's like, that's not the answer. Because at the end of the day, Lauren was the one that took it. So you can't really blame anyone else. Sully says to Jack, don't be silly. Basically, don't be him. Don't go out seeking revenge. Just accept the fact that this is on Lauren. He doesn't want her to end up like him, trying to seek revenge and it not making you feel any better. It leading you down a path that will make you feel worse than you did before. But Jack wants names and she wants it ASAP. Next, we see Erin and Stefan having a good old time, just enjoying each other's company. Stefan's busting out the moves. He even gets a little bib from a car passing by, loving his moves, and they just bust some jokes and just having a good time spending time together. Now we are in the city with Jeffrey and it is not looking good. He finds out from the banker that the funds or everything is gone. Everything is gone. Lizzie has taken the whole lot, the whole 15 million. The investment is gone and Jeffrey, he's lost it. His phone is ringing. Yes, it's Deshane. And Jeffrey, I think in his heart of hearts knows that he's a dead man walking because those funds are gone. Lizzie and Life are gone. And he has no way of getting those funds back. Oh, poor Jeffrey. Jeffrey goes home and he is literally sick to his stomach after hearing that revelation that all of the money is gone. You can see him in the toilet being sick, and that is when the bell rings and it's Deshane. Deshane comes in and Jeffrey lets him know the news, and of course Deshane doesn't take it very well. He takes it so badly to the point, yes, he kills Jeffrey in the most sloppy, messy, unorganized way possible. I think just him hearing the news, the rage took over. He lost his sense of anything. Sense went out the window. That's all he could do. That's all that made sense to him. I don't know how that made sense, but that's what made sense to Deshane, and he made an absolute mess of the scene. Nah, man, I felt so sorry for Jeffrey. Deshane was not stopping. He just kept going. Then he goes to pick up Pan to finish up the job. I said, Deshane, Jeffrey, he didn't even bother fight. He just gave up from the beginning. Jeffrey was tired. I think Jeffrey just said, you know what? He's going to do what he's going to do, whatever. And I'm tired. Lizzie, life, Deshane, bye. Sully goes to visit Johnny to have a chat, and Sully lets him know, don't call me boy again because you won't be alive by the end of the week. Spoiler alert, Johnny lets him know that he thinks that they would be great business partners. Obviously Sully, he's just entertaining it. Yeah, we can talk, but Sully has more plans for Johnny than he could ever imagine. Next we see Stefan and Erin. Steph invites Erin round and Erin lets it be known no funny stuff is going on and they need to go and get tested. That's exactly what they are going to do. But Erin makes it very clear she does like him, and if they are going to take things to the next step, they need to do it properly. Next we see Deshane has reached home, still washing his hands. Shelly arrives and she starts speaking to him about the nail shop, and he lets her know nothing's happening. There ain't no shop. The money gone. It ain't happening. Shelly just looks shocked because the last she knew, he was like, yes, it's happening. Everything's there. Don't worry. And now all of a sudden, it's not happening. So, you know, Shelly is quite confused. Shelly tries to speak to Deshane and find out what is going on, and he tells her to mind her business and leaves. That is where he meets Sully, who's waiting for him outside, and they are going to discuss the next move. We are now with Jack and Bex. Kieran comes to visit Jack and lets her know about the beef that took place, which we saw earlier on. And Bex, she's like, did you have to tell her this? Like, Kieran, why are you here? Like, if you can handle it. Jack lets her know she's going to do what she needs to do. And clearly Bex is trying to explain to her that you've got new responsibilities now. You don't need to be outside. But Jack goes anyway. Jack and Kieran go to visit the LF squad and let them know that they're not going to retaliate. Instead, they're going to focus on making that money that they lost. Instead of them wasting time going around the ends trying to look for who done it, they need to focus on making that money. Jack makes a point that they've already got one of their soldiers down and he's in A&E, so their main focus now should be getting this money. One of them mentions that how do they expect them to get the money when they keep on killing off the man them? Jack says, what? That's when she lets them know that it was in fact Jamie that took out Kit. They are in disbelief. Jack makes it known that no one knows who killed Jamie. She says that Jamie was a good worker and he was the only one that they listened to, so why would they want to get rid of him? Once they leave, Jack asks Kieran who shot to Lauren, and she's not going to give up until she finds out that answer. Kieran lets her know. You know what Jack is going to do. You know what she's going to do. Shelly gets to the shop and she lets Naomi know that the chain is not happening. She breaks down and she's really upset. You can see that the situation that just happened really upset her. Now, one thing though, Shelly never mentioned Lauren. Not even a little rest in peace, Lauren. Shelly just thinking about these shops. She's just thinking about these shops, but unfortunately, the shops are not going to happen because Deshane does not have the P. Now we see the man them. They're getting ready to ride out. We see Sully and Deshane are putting on bulletproofs. They're putting on their black attire. So you know they are getting ready to commit some sort of horrible mission. We're going to the old people's home to do that mission. Now we are back at the retirement home and the plan is underway. We can see that the carer that Sully has instructed is getting everything underway, making sure she turns off the CCTV so that they can enter the building. Now we see Jack has ended up at Ro's house. She looked up and poor Ro, he can see her and she can see him as well. When Ro Ro's mum opens the door. She tries to defend her son by saying that he isn't home, but Jack knows, and she barges past her and starts to punch Ro. It's so sad because at the end of it, he says he was just doing what Jack asked him to do, and she even has to stop and realize herself she's the one that asked him to do it. He's one of her workers, so essentially Lauren's passing could be seen as her fault. I think the moment he said that, that's when it hit Jack. Back to the retirement home. Whilst Deshane and Sully are patiently waiting for the Irish gang to arrive, Deshane is asking Sully questions like, I thought this was patterned up, what's going on? And Sully's like, just leave. Sully don't want to hear the talking, he don't want to hear the questions, just leave. And then he lets it be known like, you wanted to be here, you wanted to be a part of this. He's dealing with the problem, but Deshane keeps on going on, and that's when Auntie wakes up. I'm not gonna lie, that scene was too funny when Auntie woke up and Sully's there like, Auntie, go back to sleep. Shh, Auntie, go back to sleep. I said, nah. And if I was Auntie, I would have done exactly the same thing. I had just any man just sitting in my room. I said, let me mind my business. I'm going back to sleep. Yes. Sully looks at Deshane and tells him to stop talking because all of this chitter chatter got the woman waking up. They just need to be patient. As that is happening, we see that Johnny and his uncle are on their way to the retirement home. So we know that it won't be long until they're there. Whilst they're on their way, they also discuss Sully. And I think Johnny likes Sully. He likes the no-nonsense attitude because remember when they were at the ring, he was saying that he thinks that they're quite similar. And he's saying the same kind of sentiment to his uncle, letting him know that he thinks that Sully's got his head on his shoulders and he thinks that they'll be good at working together. But we're going to see very shortly that ain't the case. Now, once they arrive, they sit down and it's nice to see Johnny's uncle greet his dad, and his dad is so happy to see him. Johnny calls Angelica to get them some glasses for their drinks. You can see the woman is nervous. She is so nervous. She knows what's about to go down. As soon as they get that text letting them know that they have arrived, they are ready to ride out. And as they're in the corridor, they are met one of the elderly people. Yeah, drop me off at Bethnal Green, please. And the way Sully just pushes him back in his room. Now, just as Sully pushes that man back into his room, that is when Johnny spots him and they start having that shootout. Now, miraculously, as far as I can see, none of the elderly people were injured, but my gosh, the disrespect. Sully even used one of the elderly people as an armrest whilst he was aiming. I said, this is absolutely disgusting behaviour. I know. Now, they get a shot at the uncle straight in the neck, and it's so unfortunate the uncle is dying in front of his dad, and Sully just comes over and just finishes him off with no remorse. Then you see that Sully has got Johnny right where he wants him, and he says the same thing that Johnny said to him, then proceeds to finish him off. I said, wow, this is ruthless. They then take the belt from Johnny's waist to go down, get the keys to get that food. And remember, Sully spotted this food the last time he was there, so he knows exactly where to go. After they take the food, they make their escape. You can hear the police sirens in the background on their way to the scene, and Abigail, she is sitting there in a room because she knows what she has just done. Now we are back with the Fields law, and that is when Stefan finally lets Si know who killed his brother. He tells him that he saw who killed Jamie that night, and Si says it for him, Sully. And Stefan nods yes, and that is how episode 3 ends. Wow, this episode was jam-packed. Now, there was even moments of comedy when Sully told Auntie go back to sleep. We didn't need that bit in there. We didn't need it, but we needed it. That was absolute gold. And also just seeing the Irish being taken out like that. Now, I honestly thought the Irish would at least make it to the last episode, but episode 3, I thought they were coming with big plans. There was going to be, but no, Sully made it very clear there is only going to be one top boy, and that is him. Even telling Deshane to shut up in moments because Deshane was talking too much whilst they're on the mission. Absolutely crazy. Now, Jack trying to deal with the loss of Lauren, but maybe not going the right way about it by punching Ro up, who made a great point that it was down to her instructions why he was selling to Lauren in the first place. And I know that this is definitely making her think about everything. Erin and Stefan getting closer in their relationship as well. So much went on in this episode, and definitely what topped it off was the end where Sully and Deshane have taken the Irish out, and they've done it with such ruthlessness as well. Wow, what an episode. I'm gonna give this episode 8 8 boys out of 10. That was Top Boy season 3 episode 3 birthday party, and wow, what a birthday party that was. Definitely won't be forgetting that one. Top Boy episode 3 birthday party. Let me know your thoughts down below. Leave a comment down below. What did you think of this episode, and how many boys out of 10 would you give it? Leave your comments down below. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell so you are notified when the next Top Boy review is out. And yeah, I will catch you in the next Top Boy review. Don't know, boy. Yes, people, this is your girl Aleisha Lee, and welcome back to another episode of Aleisha Lee Reviews. In this episode, we are reviewing Top Boy season 3 episode 4, The Food is Killing Us. Let's get into this. We start this episode at Jeffrey's house. The cleaner arrives ready to start doing her job, and that is when she discovers Jeffrey's body. We then see Sully. He is on his way to drop off the bags at a location, and he pays the person that is at the home to hold the bags. She says, wow, this is a bit more than usual, and he's like, well, you know, the risk is higher, so the money is higher. She's happy to hold it. She's happy for the rise as well, and off he goes. We then see him make a call to Kieran, letting him know the drop and when to come and collect. Deshane goes to visit his lawyer once again to find out the update on where Lizzie and Life are, and the lawyer lets him know that it's going to cost him another 20 racks. Wow. Obviously, Deshane is going mad now. He said the minute he finds it, make sure you let me know. After he's there paying up how much money, and all now we don't have update. Remember, I said in the last episode, I'm starting to think this money's going to the lawyer, but we see him make a call. He lets that person know that Deshane is up for it and to get in touch with him as soon as he gets any more news. Next, we see Kieran. He is at the house taking what he needs to take after Sully gave him the call. He does what he needs to do and makes his way out the back. Kieran starts to distribute the food between the workers. Next, we see Mandy is in the market buying some bits. That's when she sees one of the schoolgirls that she knows, and she follows her to see where she's going and sees that she is going to pick up food from the workers. That is when Mandy confronts Kieran and just says to him, after all that we've done for you, this is what you're going to continue to do. We rode out for you to make sure that immigration didn't take you, and this is how you want to repay us. Kieran is feeling a bit embarrassed about the situation because he knows that Mandy's got a point. You can see how disappointed Mandy is, and right now she's feeling like all of their hard work, what was the point if he was going to continue doing what he's doing? Next, we see Stefan. He is at the park at the special bench, and it's just so sad because remember from the previous seasons we used to see all 3 brothers together on the bench, and now it's just Stefan alone. But he doesn't feel alone because he is having a chat with Jamie, letting him know and giving him the update on what's been going on with him and Erin, and just letting him know that he's taken heed on the advice that he's given him in terms of being safe. And yeah, it was just a nice scene. It was nice to see, and it just made you feel for Steph even more. You're starting to see that he's having to grow up on his own from having both of his brothers there to being alone, but I think Stefan will be just fine. Next, we see Mandy has reached Jack's house and they are having a chat. She lets her know that she's brought her some food and some fruit, and Jack appreciates it. They begin to talk. Mandy asks where's the baby, and Jack explains that the baby is with Bex at her house, and Jack just needed some time to be alone. But Mandy's trying to explain to her that isolating herself, you know, isn't always the best bet. Now things get heated when Mandy lets Jack know that Lauren's death is on her. Lauren's death is down to the drugs that she sells, and that is when Jack gives Mandy a slap. When I tell you I wasn't expecting, I said, huh? And Mandy lets her know that slapping her ain't gonna change anything, and that is when Jack loses it and tells her to get out of her yard now. Oh, I wasn't ready for that. I did not expect it, but Mandy, she played it cool. She understands what's going on, because anyone getting a slap like that could have easily just went for Jack as well. But Mandy just keeping it calm and collected, she just makes her way out. But before she leaves, she says to Jack, it's too late for Lauren, but it's not too late for her baby. I.e., Jack, you better get it together. Next we see Shelly. It looks like she is contemplating something, and yeah, after the last episode, I think Shelly is fed up with Deshane, if I'm honest, and it looks like she's going to make a big decision. Next we see Erin and Stefan, and yes, they take their relationship to the next level after the last episode where they went to go and make sure that they are cool and checked out. Now they have decided to take things to the next level. Now we see Jack has reached the rest of the man them on the strip, and that is where we see that customer is back, the one that has the baby. She is back to get her fix, and that is where Jack starts to question her and says, where is the baby? Because she notices that in the pram there ain't no baby. She insists that she takes her to where the baby is, and she's saying that the baby's with her mum, but we know that ain't the case. Jack says that she'll give her one on the house if she takes her to her baby, and that's exactly what they do. Now when Jack gets to the flat, she is just absolutely, you can see the horror on her face. She can't believe the way that the woman is living, and then on top of that, her baby is on the floor. Yes, she left her baby on the floor while she went out to get her supply. Jack has to tell her multiple times to take her baby off the floor because the woman is so much more focused on getting her fix than to look and see about the baby, until Jack says, go and pick your picnic up off the floor. It's a terrible sight, and I think this is making Jack realize how devastating the effects are of the job that she is involved in. This is what her job involves. She is supplying to these people who are living in these types of conditions, and it's having an effect on their children. When Jack gets back into the car, you can see the devastation. She is crying. Kieran is asking her what's up, and she just wants to go home. She says just take her to her place. This is really hitting her, especially now after the loss of her sister, and now seeing how this woman's been living as well and what her child is having to endure at such a young age. It's just too much for Jack. When Kieran goes to drop off Jack, she asks him some questions, asking about where Sully and Deshane got the food from, saying if they got it from the Irish, and Kieran confirms that. She also asks where the drop-off was it Stamford Hill or near Highbury? And he says near Highbury. That's got us thinking, why is Jack asking these questions? Especially when Kieran drops her off and he drives off, we see that Jack doesn't go in the house. We see that she starts to make moves towards her car. Next, we see Mandy is back at home. She's calling for Erin, and her and Stefan, they need to get ready quick. They make their way downstairs, and Mandy knows that they ain't been doing no homework. They say they've been doing homework, but Mandy can see and tell that something more than homework was going on. Deshane arrives home and he is met by Shelly packing. Yes, Shelly, she's had enough. She is off, and that is when Deshane starts to ask some serious questions. Why are you leaving? Like, what's going on? And he also says if he got the money today, if the money was there, would she be leaving? And that's a good question, because Shelly, she's just completely had enough of Deshane. She really has. But he's made a good point there. If he had the money, if he got the money today, would she leave? But she insists that it isn't about the money. She just has come to the realization that he just loves the money, the power more than her, and it will always be that way, and she does not have time for it. She is off. Deshane reminds Shelly of the things that she said when they first met at his mum's, that she would be riding, she understands him, and she says that's exactly why she's leaving, because she does understand him. She knows what this life comes with, and she doesn't want to be around it, and she doesn't want her daughter around it either. After Shelly leaves, we see Deshane take a drink. He's probably had enough. He's just having a bad few days, a bad week. As Deshane is having a drink, we see that the police are at Jeffrey's, the forensics are there, and they mention they've got a good print on that pan that they know was used as the murder weapon. And it's about to get even more sticky for Deshane, because he did not do a very good job of cleaning up that mess. He did not. You could tell at that point he was absolutely finished. He wasn't thinking straight. Things aren't going to be looking too good for Deshane. We are now with Jack. We can see that she is outside of the house, that Sully left the food, and these times I'm thinking, what is Jack really going to do? But we see that Jack is there to rob the food. I can't believe it. Now, this is just so left field for Jack. Why would she be robbing the food? I don't think she's thinking straight. I think after what she's just seen at that woman's home with how she's treating her kid and seeing the way that the job that she does and what they do affects the wider community, she goes into the house, she breaks in from the back and she makes her way to get that food. She uses a tool to get in there, she takes the food, and as she takes the food, that is when the woman that is in the house comes down and she tries to run away, but Jack gets her and gives her a gun butt, knocking her out. Jack makes her escape, and I'm in shock. I can't believe that Jack is pulling this move. Back at home with Mandy, Erin and Stefan, Mandy is laying down some rules for the couple. She says to them, be kind to each other, respect each other's feelings, and no grandbabies. She's not ready to be a grandma just yet, and the couple agrees. Sully pays Deshane a visit to find out what he knows about Jeffrey's death, and he says to Deshane, have you seen what's going on in the news? And Deshane's like, nah. He's like, yeah, Jeffrey's gone. And Deshane's straight like, oh, okay, yeah, it must be Lizzie and them. And Sully knows that it ain't no Lizzie. He knows it's him. He said, if it was you... Deshane tries to shut it down, but we all know he knows as well it was him. They go on to discuss business, and Sully lets him know that by the time everything is done with the food that they've now got from the Irish, which Deshane makes it a point to remind Sully that half of that is his. He says, yep, half of it is yours, and once he gets that back to him, their business is done. Deshane questions Sully, asking him where is he going to get the supply from once this food has been moved, and Sully lets him know, don't worry about me, worry about your story, what you're going to tell the police when it comes to Jeffrey. A polite way of saying, mind your business. As Sully leaves Deshane, he gets a call from Antonia letting him know that they have been robbed. He gets in the car straight away to make his way there. Now we are back with Jack, Bex and Jack's nephew. Jack makes a call to Kieran letting him know that she needs to have a word with him and they need to meet at the garages. Kieran says say less. Now we are with Stefan and Sai, and they are doing gun training, and I'm not really feeling this. Why are you teaching the youth? Why don't you be teaching him something to do with some finances, like some property? Don't be teaching him these things. And Sai was getting a bit too excited. You ready to gun down a man? You ready? And then Steph's there like, yeah. I'm just like, no, I'm not feeling this one bit. You're going to bring him into more rubbish. We don't need this. We don't need this training at all. Back at the house, Sully is livid. He realizes that both of the bags are gone, and he says to Antonia, both the bags, and she says, yes, I'm sorry. He told her to shut up. He don't want to hear it. He is mad. Then we see Jack and Kieran. They have met up, and that is where she shows him the bags. He says to Jack, oh, Sully didn't say anything about moving the bags. And that's when it dawns on him that no, this hasn't been moved. Jack has robbed Sully. Can you imagine? You can see the devastation on his face. And just as Jack is explaining that, you know, it was too late for Lauren, but it's not too late for her nephew, which I'm guessing are the motivations as to why she's done this move, he gets a call from Sully. He can't even answer it right now because he knows that this is all mad, and that is where the episode ends. I feel like this episode was just a bit of a filler. It's getting you prepared for what's to come in the next 2 episodes. It was just moving the story along in terms of seeing how Stefan and Erin's relationship has developed. Also seeing now that things are going to be looking really sticky for Deshane now that the police are involved and they have a print. So it's going to come back to him very, very quickly. Sully getting robbed by Jack for me was absolutely so left field. I was not expecting it at all, and I don't get why Jack done it. I know that she's going through a lot. Maybe seeing the way that woman was living with her child, it just really just topped it off for her, because she's starting to realize that what they're doing is having an effect on their community. And you saw that Jack really felt it when she left that home, because she was crying, she was in tears. She said to Kieran, just take me home. And then that is when she had the idea or the madness to go and rob Sully. It just makes sense now why she was asking Kieran those questions. She wanted to know exactly what house that was at, and she probably knows all of the information. Why? Because she's part of the squad. Sully, it's not gonna take him long to work out what's really going on. We will see in the next episode. I'm going to give this episode 6. I'm going to give it 6 boys out of 10. I thought it was an okay episode. For me, I just think, why Jack, why? But all of this is just going to set up what is going to happen in the next 2 episodes. But yes, people, that was Top Boy Season 3, Episode 4. The food is killing us. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Do you think it made sense, Jack, doing this? For me, it didn't make sense at all. And also, why are you bringing Kieran involved in it? I can't even talk properly. Jack, why are you involving Kieran? Anyway, you're going to see in the next episode what happens there. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you are notified when the next episodes are out. Stay blessed, and yeah, I will catch you in the next Top Boy review. Don't know, boy. Yes, people, this is your girl Aleisha Lee, and welcome back to another episode of Aleisha Lee Reviews. This is Top Boy. This is the penultimate episode, Season 3, Episode 5. Has it come to this? And wow, has it? Let's get into this. We start the episode off with Kieran arriving at the house to have a word with Sully. You know that Sully is not going to stop until he gets the answers. He begins to interrogate Kieran, finding out his moves, what was happening on the day that he arrived. Kieran lets him know that he thinks that it's probably the Fields lot that have something to do with this. And Sully, entertaining it, says, okay, let's go. Kieran asks if they should let Deshane know, and Junior says, for what? He don't need to know anything. Now, as Kieran is about to head into his car, Sully tells him to hop in theirs, and then they start to make their way. Back at Summer House, we see that the community is out in full force and ready to protest. They are not going to let these officers come in and board up their home. Now we are with the Fields lot, and they get a knock at the door. Yes, it is Sully. Sully begins to question Sai, asking him about Highbury House, and Sai, he doesn't have a clue about what Sully is talking about, and both Junior and Sully are onto him, saying and thinking that he's trying to play dumb, but he lets it be known he doesn't have a clue. And that is when Sully takes things to a different level. This was so uncomfortable to watch. I felt so sorry for Sai, especially the fact that he has nothing to do with it. This is information that Kieran has provided Sully with, and this is what Sully is running with. And the way he treats Sai is so terrible in front of all of his crew, in front of Stefan as well. And we just see that Sai starts to throw up after having to deal with that. No, Sully, out of order, absolutely out of order. Sully, realizing that Sai doesn't know or have a clue, he leaves, and that is when things are going to get sticky now for Kieran and Jack. As they leave, Deshane rolls up, and Sully says to him, are you following me? Like, what's going on? Why are you everywhere? He lets him know that he didn't need him to be here, but Kieran is the one that gave Deshane the drop, and you know this is not going to sit right with Sully at all. Kieran, what are you doing? As they are talking, they are trying to eliminate who it could possibly have been. Now, they narrow it down to speaking to Jack, because Kieran lets it be known that she knew where the house was, but she didn't know that the food was there. But Deshane, he is not having it. They want to speak to Jack, especially as she knew where the house was, but Kieran says that she is grieving. Deshane don't care. They need to speak to Jack ASAP. On the way to Jack's, that is where we see Kieran sends a message to Jack, giving her the heads up that they are going to be on their way to her. He makes sure that he deletes the messages that he sends to Jack as well. Kieran says to Sully and Junior that he does not believe Sai. He thinks it was them. He still believes it was them. And Sully lets it be known he was telling the truth. He knows it wasn't Sai. He knows for a fact it wasn't Sai. Back at Jack's, we can see that she is getting ready to leave. She is heading out. So by the time the guys get there, she's gone. Now we are on the bus with Deshane's lawyer and the investigator. He is real. I thought he wasn't, but I was wrong. He is real. That is where he asks about Lizzie, and the investigator lets him know your client's got more serious matters to worry about than Lizzie. He is the prime suspect in the investigation into Jeffrey's murder, and that is where the lawyer lets him know that that's probably Lizzie's doing. But the investigator explains that his DNA is all over the gaff, so you need to tell your client to watch out. The lawyer hands him the money and exits the bus, and he has to let Deshane know ASAP. On the way to Jack's house, Deshane gets a message from his lawyer Wilson, letting him know he needs to get in touch ASAP. Sully makes a call to Jack, letting her know that he is outside and she needs to give him a call back. That is where we see Jack make a call to Bex, leaving her a voice message as she can't get through, telling her to get the baby ready, pack for a few days because they are going to be heading out. Jack is looking frantic at the moment and she is desperate to get this message to Bex. She needs them to be ready to go. Jack gets a text from Sully letting her know to call him ASAP. There is a situation. That's when Deshane asks Kieran about Bex, where she lives, and Kieran, he's stalling. He says that the last time he was there he was fried, so he's not too sure, but Deshane is onto him. It's either you know or you don't. He says that he would need to see it to know if it's the house, and they start making their way there. Jack finally gets to Bex and she is mortified that Bex is not ready. Bex did not get the message from her, and Bex is now concerned because Jack is frantic. She tells her that they need to go now, and she is making it very clear. She tells Bex, pack some things, go, go, go. It's time to get out. They make their way and they start to leave. They leave just in the nick of time. You can see in Jack's rearview mirror, those two cars are approaching the house. As they park up, Jack, Bex and the baby drive off, and that is where Kieran goes to knock on the door. Obviously, no one is going to answer because nobody's home. Deshane and Sully are tag teaming on Kieran, interrogating him, trying to find out what's going on with Jack. Kieran mentions she might have just popped out. She is grieving at the moment, but they don't care. Sully asks Kieran for his phone. He hands over the phone and Sully does his checks. Kieran is looking nervous as Sully is going through that phone. He doesn't find anything because Kieran was smart and deleted the messages. Sully says to Kieran to let him know the moment Jack contacts him because this is a serious matter. Deshane's lawyer gets in touch with him again to let him know that he needs to meet him in person and it is urgent to meet in their usual spot. Back at Summer House, the enforcement agents are making sure they are doing their rounds, trying to evict all of the residents from their homes. Some of them are not backing down, they refuse, whilst others have given up the fight and they will let the enforcement agents do what they need to do. Jack explains everything that's happened to Bex. She also apologises for getting her involved in all of this mess. Bex asks her why did she steal it, and she says that it needs to stop. All of this stuff just needs to stop. It's just a cycle that's repeating, and she thought that by doing this it would solve the issue, but clearly it's only made things worse. She's fully aware that Sully and Deshane are after her and she doesn't know what she's gonna do now. She explains to Bex that asking for a pass is not how things work, but at this point this is looking like her only option. Now we see Stefan and Erin. Stefan opens up to her about what happened the night Jamie died. She also opens up to him about the night her father Driz passed away. They both know that it's Sully. Sully has caused so much destruction for both of them, and this is a moment where they both share their stories and they have a common denominator, who is Sully, that has caused them so much pain. Deshane meets up with his lawyer and they talk about everything that's happened. He lets him know straight up and down that Deshane needs to get out the country. It is too hot for him staying in the ends. He's messed up. Deshane doesn't realize the severity of this by saying, is it really that necessary? And he lets him know, yes, with DNA, all of that good stuff, it really is. He also mentions that there is someone that he knows that could possibly get him out, but again, it's gonna cost. The last person he sent to him cost $250,000. Deshane says that's a lot of money, and the lawyer has to explain to him that getting out and staying out will cost. Back at Summer House, we can see that the enforcement agents are having a tricky time getting on with their jobs. The stairs have been blocked, the crowds are getting bigger, and now they need to call for backup. Deshane ends up at Shelly's shop. Now, I was thinking, how does he get through the back like that? But he's Deshane. He calls Shelly and he explains to her that he needs her help. They have a discussion about it, and yes, just because they broke up doesn't mean that she can't help him. He explains the situation and what he needs, and now it's time for Shelly to get on the case. Now we are at the cafe, and Jack, she has made her entrance, and if you saw Sully's face, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. She sits down, well, not before she asks him, can I sit? And he gives her the nod and the dirty look, as in, yes you can, but this better be good. He says to her, you taking the mick? What's going on? He asks her if she's got every single bit of it, and she says yes. He says, you better not be lying. And she said she wouldn't lie to him, and he says, yeah, of course not, just steal. Oof. Jack pleads with Sully not to harm her or her family, and as she's doing that, Sully just stops her and says, don't beg, it's disgusting. I said, oh, what is Jack gonna do? He said he ain't giving her no pass, he's not letting her off this one, and Jack just has to suck it up, and she says tonight, as in she will be delivering the stuff tonight. Wow, what a scene. I felt so sorry for Jack in that moment, but at the same time, Sully don't care. He also said to her that Lauren's death is not his fault, don't blame him. He ain't having it, he's not giving her a pass, and I don't know what Jack is going to, well, we know what Jack is going to do. We all know. Now we see that Naomi is at Deshane's house going to get his money and his passport. One thing is, I don't understand. Why was Deshane there? Why are you there? What, you couldn't wait at Shelly's shop? You couldn't wait somewhere else? Why are you there watching? What is with this micromanagement? This is Deshane's problem. Why don't he just let the girl go and do what she's doing? Because why? The police are outside and they spot Deshane. They spot him and they start to make chase. Now, the next thing that didn't make sense to me was Deshane. He became an Olympic sprinter. He was running for his life, running. And last season we saw that he had a condition, but that condition gone, because he was running. But Deshane, why was you there in the first place? Why didn't you just let Naomi do what she needed to do? Anyway, we see that he had to be there to watch and make sure that she got the job done. But that is what cost him, and yeah, the police are onto him. Deshane manages to lose the feds that are onto him, and as he runs into Summer House, he can see everything that is going on with the enforcement agents and now the police. They are coming in full force, and that is when we see a police car coming round into Summer House, and just as it does, it hits a little girl that is outside playing. This is going to cause even more uproar in the community. The whole community starts running towards the girl, and everyone is in disbelief. Everybody is in shock. They can't believe what is happening. Next, we see Stefan is back home, and it looks like he is getting himself prepared to do something. He takes out that gun that Sai gave him in the last episode, and he's in the mirror acting like he's going to do something. And Stefan, please get rid of it, put it away. Like I said in the last episode, we don't need you going down this road. We don't need you going down this path. You've seen where it takes you. Put it down. Back at Summer House, we see that things are escalating after the young girl has been hit by the police car. Deshane, he runs upstairs to his old home. He's looking at pictures of himself with his mum and just reminiscing on the good times before all of this madness. Jack lets Deshane know that it was her that took the grub and she plans on returning it. He also asks her if all of it is there and she says that she hasn't touched it. He says you better make sure. He says to make sure that the link up spot is in Summer House, as he needs to be there as well to send him the location and let him know the drop. She says that she will, and that's when we see that Summer House, things are kicking off, especially after everything that has happened and the police just knocking over the young girl. Things are kicking off, and that is how the episode ends. It's not looking good for Jack, is it? It's really not looking good for her. She's taken the food. She's now trying to return it, and it's just not making sense. She knows that she's in a lot of rubbish now. Sully says that he's not giving her a pass. She understands the game, and she knows that when things like this happen, there's only one option, and that is getting rid. So we're going to see in the next episode what happens. It's not looking good for Kieran as well. Jack has brought him into some next level of rubbish. Really, he could have stayed out of it, and Kieran didn't help himself by blaming the Fields lot, because now Sully knows for a fact Kieran lied to him. He knows it was Jack. He knows that he was trying to cover for Jack, and yeah, overall it's not looking good. I'm going to give this episode, I'm going to give it 7. I'm going to give it 7 boys out of 10. I thought the episode was good, but for me, things are just not making sense. Deshane, why are you outside of the house? Why? Why can't you just be patient? You can just see that things are going downhill for Deshane, and the desperation is just seeping through. We're going to see how things pan out for him. Sully is not going to have it with Jack. He's not going to have it with any of them. He's sick of it. He is disgusted. We're going to see how things pan out in the final episode. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you are notified when the finale is out, and leave your comments down below. Let me know what you thought about this episode and how many boys out of 10 would you give it. Did this make sense? Was it making sense to you? Leave your comments down below and let us know. I will catch you in the next Top Boy review. Done now, boy. Yes, people, this is your girl Aleisha Lee, and welcome to the final episode, the finale of Top Boy. Wow, season 3, episode 6, If We Are Not Monsters. Let's get into this. We start the episode right where we left off at Summer House, and it is kicking off. There is so much outrage between the enforcement agents coming in, the police knocking over that young girl. It is all kicking off. You can see that the community, they're fed up, they are tired. And in the midst of all of this, we see the connect that Deshane's lawyer put him in touch with to try and get him out. They discuss Deshane's options in terms of places he can go and hide out. He can't come back to England after this. They talk about the different locations, and Deshane is starting to realise the severity of the situation. As they are starting to get down to business, the guy realises that Deshane doesn't have the funds, and he gets up to leave. Deshane tries to explain to him he might as well stay and wait, but he explains to him once you do have the money, you just text yes to that number that Wilson gave you, and that is when he will start work. He ain't gonna do anything before he gets that money. Sully calls Kieran to meet up. He needs some bits taken care of, and he also drops the bomb that he knows that it was Jack. Kieran is surprised. He was so blindsided with this. I don't think Jack let him know that she told Sully. Kieran, he does his best acting, trying to act surprised. Oh, it was Jack? What? So was she going to give the food back? Sully says that she is, and Kieran asks, when she does give the food, what's going to happen? And Sully says it all depends on her attitude. Now we are with Jack and Bex, and they are talking and trying to discuss how this is going to work. How is she going to give back the goods? They are talking about this pass. Bex needs to know what is really going to happen because she is scared and she is not sure. Kieran gives Jack a call and lets her know that Sully wants to see him. He wants him to be there at the drop as well. She tries to say to Kieran that everything is sorted, she's going to give it back. But I don't think that she is aware of what Kieran said to Sully, letting him know that he believed it was the Fields lot. So this is where there's some confusion and their stories aren't straight, because Kieran asks Jack if Sully mentioned anything about him, and she lets him know that he didn't. Shelley gets to Summer House to give Deshane his money and passport, and that's when they have a moment, just realizing that yes, they have so much love for each other, but things, they just don't work, and it's okay. She wishes him well and says, I hope you make it. Back at the home, we see that Stefan wants to leave to check on Erin, but he is stopped by the workers at the home because of everything that's going outside with the riots in Summer House. No one is allowed to leave, and this of course angers Steph. He ends up shouting at them and then going back to his room. Kieran meets up with Sully and they are talking about everything. Sully lets it be known that he knows that Kieran lied. Kieran explains that he told her she shouldn't have done it and what she done was stupid, but Sully, he listens, but you know what's gonna happen. Sully don't care. He is livid. He is absolutely mad, and that's when he gives the signal and it is time for Kieran to go. We see Junior take Kieran away and we know that that's it for Kieran. That is it. Kieran was begging and pleading with Sully not to do this, but you know Sully don't like the begging. It's disgusting to him. So he gave that signal. Junior came, took Kieran away, and I felt so sorry for Kieran because he knows what is about to happen. We can all assume that Kieran is no longer with us. Just as Sully is about to go, he gets a text message from Jack letting him know the spot will be at the community centre and this will be at 8 p.m. We can see that Deshane also gets the same message from Jack letting him know the drop-off spot and the time. Next we see Sully is at the community centre waiting for Jack, and as she is making her way there, we see that she is met with Deshane. Now they have an encounter and she explains that she is going to drop it to Sully, but Deshane, he is not having it and he is trying to stop Jack in her tracks. As she continues to try and make a move to go, he punches Jack and attacks her and takes the food. I could not believe it. We ain't seen Deshane this desperate in never. Deshane jacks the food from Jack. We see him start to run through all of the chaos happening at Summer House, and that is where he makes his way back up to the block. Jack, she goes to the community centre to let Sully know what's happened. Now Sully gets up, he sees that she is empty-handed. He makes his way towards her and he starts to interrogate. She explains what just happened. Sully goes absolutely flip mode squad on Jack, asking her, how did Deshane know that you would be here? He is mad. She can't even answer right now. You can tell she is scared. He said, how did he know? And that's where he says to Jack, that's why you ain't getting no pass. Now he realizes that Jack was the one that let Deshane know. That's how he knew that she was going to be there. And he leaves, but not without saying, neither did Kieran, letting Jack know that something has happened to Kieran and it ain't nothing good. Mandy comes to see if Jack is okay, and Jack asks her if Kieran has been there, and Mandy lets her know that she hasn't seen him. Now that is confirming Jack's worst fears that something definitely has happened to Kieran. Now we are back with Deshane. You can see that he is stressed. He sends that yes text letting them know he's ready, and that's when he gets a call back. But Deshane lets him know that things are going to have to run a bit differently because this is not cash, this is the food, and he explains to him that he can give him a cut of it if he can get him out. He says that he will give him a call back, but Deshane is desperate. He needs to know answers right there and then, but the guy said he will call him back. Next we see Stefan is at home. on his phone looking at everything going on at Summer House, and we also see he gets a message from Erin which says ignoring me, so it looks like Steph, he's not in the mood to have a talk, and Erin sends a broken heart. We then go on to see Sully give Junior a call letting him know he needs him at Summer House and he needs him to bring some equipment. Jack goes to Kieran's house to see if he is there, and that is where his mum opens the door and she asks if Kieran is there, and his mum, looking confused, says no, she thought he was with her. And that is where it dawns on Jack that Kieran, he's gone. As all of the chaos is happening in Summer House, we see Deshane is running. We now see that riot police are also there and they are trying to calm down the crowds. Deshane is running up and down all throughout the chaos, trying to hide away with these bags. And that's when he gets a call from the guy letting him know that he needs to up what he's offering, and Deshane makes a deal and says that he needs to send his best guys and they better be on smoke because there are a lot of ops looking for him. He says that he will send 2 of his guys and they will be there in an hour. Junior arrives and we see that he has brought the tools for Sully. And he also highlights to Sully that it is hot right now, but you can see Sully doesn't care. They see some of the workers and they let them know that if they see Deshane, to get the bags off of him, and they also give Bradders a gun, letting him know that basically it's on site. But you can see that this guy, it's not about that. He's not about that life. And Sully says to him, have you got a problem? Of course he's got a problem. All he does is do the little shotting. All of this additional violence is not for them. We can see that the tensions are rising even more. A fire brigade gets there, but they are blocked by everybody that has been rioting. They can't get through, and some of those people even start to attack the fire van. We see that Sully, he is looking for Deshane up and down. Then we see Deshane get a text letting him know that those guys will be with him soon to get him out of Summer House and get him out of the country. We see that while Deshane is waiting, some guys end up in the house. They look like they're about to light it up, but that's when Deshane shows them what he's about and tells them to get out. Deshane makes a call to find out how close those guys are. They're about 20 minutes out, and the guy asks him where does he want to meet. He tells them the meeting spot and starts to make his way out the building. Now, as he's making his way, remember that some of those exits are blocked. He's panicking right now, but he manages to get out. As Deshane tries to escape Summer House, he spots Sully and Junior and starts to leg it. As Deshane is trying to escape, he runs into the youngers. They spot him as well, and that is where he shoots Bradders. There is too much going on right now. Bradders is down. That is where Sully and Junior catch up and ask where did Deshane go, and they let him know which direction he went in. They are running after him, and that is where Deshane manages to get to the garages and is met by the men who are going to help him escape. This ends up in a shootout and it just goes off. It is absolute carnage. Junior manages to hit one of those guys and one of those guys hits Junior. Junior is taken out. Sully, he's in absolute shock. He can't believe what is going on. Sully manages to take the other guy out. Now Deshane is on his own. All he has is those bags, his gun, and Sully is onto him. It is looking like a dead end for Deshane. He manages to throw the bag over, and just as he is about to climb over, Sully shoots him. Deshane is in disbelief. He says to Sully, "You shot me." And Sully says, "You robbed me." And this is where these two have a talk. You can just see that throughout their whole relationship, there has just been this disconnect, this miscommunication. We are visually seeing it by the way that both of them are talking, and we've got this wall dividing them. Sully is in disbelief. I don't think he actually realizes what he's done. Deshane, as he is there dying, he lets Sully know that he always did have respect for him. Sully didn't feel that he respected him. He always made him feel like he was just nothing, like they weren't partners. But Deshane lets it be known that he did respect him, and those are his last words before Deshane passes. Sully climbs over and sees that Deshane is gone. He takes the bags, and that is the end of Deshane. I can't believe that this is the ending for Deshane. Sully killed his brethren. I know they had their bickering and their arguing, but deep down inside, there was a love there. Well, clearly there wasn't, because look at what has happened between the two. I'm not gonna lie, this scene was... Why, Sully? Why? This scene was a lot. And that's where Sully says the now famous line, if we are not monsters, we are food. And I could never be food. Hey, Sully, you're gonna eat those words, aren't ya? Sully climbs over and sees for himself that Deshane is gone. It looks like he's in disbelief, but at the same time, acceptance. He takes the bag, throws it over, and then makes his way to climb back over that wall. Jack is back home and she lets Bex know that everything is going to be okay. She knows that Kieran is gone. There's just so much going on for her right now. So I'm glad that she's home, and let's hope she stays safe. Now we are back on the bench with Stefan. He is talking to Jamie, just letting him know how he feels and saying what the worst part about being alone is. He misses the noise. He misses having his brothers around. Next, we see Sully walking his daughter to school, and he lets her know that he is not going to be about for a while. She's not going to see him for a while. He says that they will speak, but he's going to be away for a while. She's fine as long as they can catch up and speak. It's all good. Sully knows that his time is nearing the end. I think he can feel it. He knows that he needs to get away because he's done too much wickedness, and he knows that there are a lot of people that are going to have it out for him. Then we see Sully walk through the park, and that is when he is met by Steph. Yes, Steph is here. He has the gun in his hand, and it looks as if that is it for Sully. They have a talk, and Steph asks Sully, how does it feel? How does it feel to be on the other end? That's when Sully lets him know that he stopped feeling a long time ago. He understands what he done, and he is ready to face those consequences. But Stefan, he doesn't pull the trigger. He says to Sully, he ain't worth it. Yes, that is a round of applause for Stefan. I know a lot of people were disappointed that it wasn't Stefan that done it, but I'm glad it wasn't Stefan. Stefan, you see what the roads do. If I were you, I would follow in Aaron's footsteps. You know that's what Jamie would have wanted as well. And I think that is what Stefan is going to do. He might not go to school, but he is going to find a way, and he is going to do better things with his time and his life. You understand? That's why he walked away, because he knew if he pulled that trigger, it's just going to be more problems for Stefan. He done the right thing by walking away. We see that Sully, he walks away to his car and he is relieved. We see that he actually had a gun with him as well, so he was ready and prepared, and at any moment he could have done a reverse Uno on Steph, but like he said, he knew the consequences of his actions, and it's basically an eye for an eye, so he was prepared to get taken out. But no, Stefan let him go, and that's when we see that he puts his gun away, and it's like he had a bit of a sigh of relief. But just as he is getting ready to go, that is when we see that Sully, that if we are not monsters, we are food, and I could never be food, gets taken out. And I don't care what anyone says, Jack took him out. Yes, that was Jack. We see the bop, you see the walk. She had the most motive. Sully let her know that she weren't getting no pass, and she has a family to protect, and she protected them. She told Bex everything would be okay, and everything is going to be okay because Deshane and Sully, the biggest threats to Jack, have been taken out. She did what she needed to do because she knew it was going to either be him or her. And that is how this episode of Top Boy and the whole entire series ends. Now, I know a lot of people were disappointed with this final season of Top Boy. I've got to admit, I thought it was a good season, but I must admit, I don't think it was the best season of Top Boy, in my opinion. It was a good season nonetheless, but I do agree with some people's sentiments that they felt that this season was rushed. The first thing I said when they released the episode list was, why have we only got 6? why? We could have done with a good 8, 10, and I think if we did have a few more episodes, this definitely would have helped this season. We would have been able to answer more questions. We would have been able to get more things in. We would have been able to make sense of some of the reasons and motivations between why everyone was doing what they were doing. But I do feel like everything had to get crammed in, and yes, it did feel rushed in places, but nonetheless, I still think it was a good season, very entertaining, and I still think that Top Boy is one of the greatest shows to come out of the UK. Overall, I'm going to give this episode, I'm going to give it 8. 8 boys out of 10. I think it was a good episode. A lot was going on. Poor Kieran, poor Sully, poor Deshay. Well, it's not really, do you know something? We can't really... It's hard because we know these characters, we know them in and out, but they were really bad. They were really naughty. They've always been naughty. They've always been bad. They didn't care about their community. They just cared about the money and the power. So, you know, it's a shame, but I thoroughly enjoyed watching Top Boy. I've thoroughly enjoyed this season as well. You never know, we might get a Top Boy spin-off with Jack showing us how she lived after she got rid of Sully. But yes, people, that was Top Boy season 3, episode 6. That was the finale, and that was the final episode of the entire series. I just want to thank each and every one of you for watching. Thank you so much. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching, for sharing, and for all of the engagement over these past few episodes. You have been amazing. Thank you so much. Let me know what shows you want me to review next. Now that there is no more Top Boy, this is officially the end. I hope you have enjoyed to the fullest. But yes, people, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you are kept up to date each and every time I upload. Hit that subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on the final episode of the season and of the series. And just let me know what you thought about Top Boy as a whole. Leave your comments down below. That was Aleisha Lee Reviews Top Boy. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. And yeah, I will catch you in the next review. Don't know, boy.